there is emotion, Jada and me, and there is not present third person, who is Elettra Giuliani, who worked together with us in the editing of this handbook, even if this handbook can be seen as the final collective effort of all the people involved in this 8-year project.
Yes, I would like also just to make a big thanks to all the people who will participate, because I think it's correct. First, Electra, that is co-editor with us. She's not here today. She would have loved to be here, but she's in our heart, so I'd like she would be here. Also to all the authors of the book, Luis, Giuliana, Luca, Giulia, Felix, Emanuel. So all the authors, but also the graphic designer, Mark, Anna, Rodion, our proofreader, Thomas, the Edition de l'Attribut, the editor, and also our Ray Center, the printing company. Sorry, but we want also that all the people who take part in this process are acknowledged here today.
Yeah, because for you are just a name, but for us are our inspirator, but even part of this handbook. But just a little background, because this is the first publication of Be SpectACTive. The previous ones were very theoretical in their approach and their speculation, because we try to investigate from different perspectives and tackling different nuances, the notion of participation, how it has been developed in starting a new era or a new way to engage with people and to give power to people in engaging in being involved in an active way in cultural activities, in the way we act during the first 4 years journey in our publication with the handbook, and the third publication which investigated the relationship and how the participatory approaches influenced in somewhere or has been embedded and introjected into the policies related to culture. But at the end of this 8-year journey, we would like to arrive with a practical and very operative tool or handbook, which is the one that we are presented. And it was born even from a specific achievement during the first 4 years of the project, in relation with the fact that we found the necessity and the importance of activating a new professionality to help us to develop our project activity, which is the community manager. So someone who was linking and was involved in making operative our ambition and all the relationship with the community, with the artists, with the top management. So a key figure in the development of the project, but not just in the development of the project, even in all the activity related with the audiences, with the beneficiaries of what we are doing every day, or in the participatory activity we developed as a cultural institution and a cultural organization. We started from some key elements. The first thing is that, as we already said, this book is an act of sharing for us, a sharing of all the lessons learned, but all the contribution that people involved in theoretical speculation, but even on the work on the field have given to our journey. So this book is edited by us, but is a collective book. And we try to give a kind of concrete concretenesses to the theoretical speculation and lesson learned. So to give them some specific tool to make them replicable and usable for other cultural operators or artists or everyone who is interested in tackling the topic of participation. So the purpose is really concrete and grounded on the floor. Even if we tried always to connect this specific and concrete suggestion or indication with interpretative frameworks and a way to make comprehensible and digestible even sometimes the speculation or the theoretical achievement developed inside the research field. The aims is even the one to provoke a reflection and to give operational pathfinds to follow during the implementation of participative approaches and activities. So the idea is to give concrete tools, concrete pathways, but even to give the opportunity for the reader to choose in which kind of posology and in what kind of moment needs to grasp and to follow some suggestion, some tips, some tricks, or recollect and recall to an theoretical framework. The idea is not to give a receipt just to follow, but to find the specificity in relation to your context, to your situation, to your ambition, to be concrete, to be realized, and to be developed. So we imagine this toolkit useful, or this handbook, you can call as you like, for cultural operators, for artists, for community manager, for producer, and for programmers who are interested in the topic of participation. So for everyone who is interested in creating meaningful relationship with the beneficiaries, which is animated by genuine interest in finding new ways to connect with people, giving power to people, giving space to express, to feel their feelings, and to find their expression in freedom, but even to nourish new approaches, new way to tackle the adversity or the complexity of the reality we are living in this specific moment.
Okay, so as Luisella was saying, this book is really born with the idea to be operational. The previous book were more academic, theoretical. This one was really born from this idea of being empathetic also with the people who are starting or continuing a process that involve a participatory approach. So what we thought in a first drafting of the book structure was what kind of question a person or a cultural organization that is starting this kind of process could ask themselves. So one of the first things that we thought it's, okay, first let's contextualize what a participatory approach is, and then let's go more into the operational aspect of participation. So part one of the book try to give an answer to this more contextualization part, to contextualize a little bit more this participatory approach. The first thing we ask, or people may ask in this case, is what we mean with participation. So we try to give, of course, our perspective, because we know that there are many different perspectives. Participation is a polysemic concept, and opening a little bit a reflection of what could be the meanings of participation, but in a really concise way, because as we said before, this is intended to be operational. Then the why, not simply the reason, but also what are the factors, both internal and external to cultural organization, that may influence this participatory approach. Another important thing is dilemma and risk related to participation, because we know that there are some criticalities in a participatory approach. So we try to summarize some of the dualities, dichotomies that exist in this field, and try to give some of our reflection as well emerged from this 8-year experience. And then importantly, the who. So who are these people participating in this participatory project? Of course, at the center, we will see later, we have this community manager that are very relevant mediator in this process, but also the links with all the stakeholders, so the organization, artists, communities, audiences, but also other institutions in the territory that this community manager are a little bit the link between these different stakeholders. Then in the second part, we go to try to answer to the, okay, that's interesting, but how do we make it real? So to answer this question, we thought that it could be interesting to take the point of view of the three main actors. They are not the only one, of course, but we thought that this categorization could be helpful to understand the process. So we will see from the point of view of the cultural organization, from the point of view of the artists and the communities, how this participatory approach could be managed. Here I won't go too much in depth because before Luca and Giuliana were talking already about what were the typology of participation that we used in Be SpectACTive. Anyway, you will have also a small presentation in the book. But the idea here is to, when we talk about participation, we have different modalities of participation, okay? So this is one first point that we can take home, is participation can mean different things to different people, and there are different ways to create this connection with the people we want to engage with in this process. So there are inventive type of participation, so where the people, the participant of this process, take part in the creation process. But also there is curatorial participation. In this case, in Be SpectACTive, we had the co-programming part of the project, but also the co-commissioning aspect of the project that could be under this type of participation. Or organizational participation. So, for example, helping or non-professional participating in non-artistic tasks of the organization. There are many more, for example, strategic participation when people may take part, may be part of the board that take decision in the organization. But these are just examples of how participation can be interpreted and how we interpret it in Be SpectACTive. Then we're not going now to present dilemma risk of participation. You have to read the book, sorry. But some general reflection that we can take from this dilemma and risk that we identify that can arise when engaging in participatory processes. So we think that one thing is to be aware of the importance of cultural rights. Maybe it's something that we have not talked too much, but we think that the topic of cultural rights is something that should be embraced when talking about participation. Also, the importance of course, knowing the local context and the societal challenges, because as we know, in different contexts, we have also different challenges to face. Also, one way to overcome this dilemma is the predisposition to be internally democratic, so not just preaching to be democratic, but also to try to take this statement and make it real in the internal organization. Then, of course, strengthening people capabilities. That is not always related to giving power or entrusting power to communities. In this case, we talk about the different dimension of participation. Participation is not just about the dimension of passive or active participation, but we explored different dimension of, for example, the fact of learning new capability or new skills, or the struggle of sharing power with people. And not all kind of participation have the same effect in this different dimension that we explored. Also, the importance that participation should take place very early on in the process. So we were also talking about this before in the workshop. It's important that when we start to talk and think about participation, this is a process that should start since the beginning, and maybe also putting in common the reflection around what this word means for us. Also, the importance of creating the right environment for participation. So giving the participant the tool, the space, and the knowledge to play an active role in this process. Then the value of a participatory activity always lies in the interaction between people. Of course, participation means as well an exchange and an interaction between people. And that's also another topic that emerged during the conversation before, that not necessarily all artists are willing or are ready to engage in participatory approaches. So also working with this idea of understanding also the need of the artist, and if they are willing or capable to jump into this kind of process.
Okay, and now we jump into the who. Who is the community manager? The community manager is this one in the middle of our puzzle, the one who deal with the complex relationship and deal with many actors. Is the figure in between the top management and the communities, is the person who is in charge to take care of a relationship with communities, but also with artists, but also with all the internal workers of our organization. So is the one who manages this kind of relationship, and is the one who tries to understand what are the different perspectives, point of view, needs, desire of all the actors involved, all the beneficiaries. Is someone who is not just taking care, but exercising his listening attitude, but even the one who provoke or who try to go outside his comfort zone or the organization comfort zone to try to experiment new approach, new way of acting, new ways of interact in different contexts, not just inside the organization, but even in the surroundings and the environment, in relation, of course, with a negotiation with the artist, in negotiation with the community, in negotiation with the ambition of our organization. So is crucial for our way of developing activities. And we understood better how the complex and stratified is the work of a community manager in 1 year of peer learning, in which we didn't really teach things, but we reciprocally understand and try to summarize what kind of competencies, knowledge, skills a community manager need to develop to be effective in his everyday activities. And we think that this kind of picture give an idea of this kind of complexity, but even to the dynamism which is on the background, and the passion that is required to be always on the stage, always ready to respond and to be active and proactive, not just reactive to what is happening. When we tried to understand, what kind of competencies and knowledge a community manager should have, we synthesize this in this kind of tree where the cultural background and interest and knowledge and understanding of creative activity and artist perspective is required, is needed, but community manager is even the one who can understand the language, but understanding the language means understanding the needs and the point of view of the direction, of the artistic direction, but even of the organizational direction. So dealing with the topic of programming, brand development, artistic production, but even taking into account the needs of the marketing, the public relation, and the ability to manage complex and different and diversified groups of people. We tried even to find a kind of map of the skills, or maybe the soft skills, this intangible and behavioral attitude which allow everyone to act, and which are much more required in this complex time. And the one that you find here is a huge map of soft skill, but is something that a community manager develop, learning by doing sometimes, or sometimes trying to raffinate in some way some innate attitude, the ability to deal with flexibility and adaptability and resilience, and this is a key word used even today, the critical thinking, the capacity of understanding and appreciating differences, the capacity of working in team group, the capacity to cooperate at different level and managing different information arriving from different perspective, the capacity with dealing with uncertainty or with unexpected, the stress management and passions. These are just some of those that we detected all together during our journey, long journey. But now we can jump very shortly.
We run out of time, so we have to be really quick with this. So this second part, as we said before, is the workbook. This is just an example of how this second part has been structured. Yeah, just so that you have an idea of, we introduce the topic, we give some tips, some tricks, some images. I mean, it's a very graphical and we hope not too dense text to read, so easily readable. And this is just to, as I said before, the second part is start from the point of view of the three main actors of this participatory approach. And for each of this point of view of this different stakeholder, we sought to give a logical sequence. So for example, I have to start this process, so from the conception of a participatory approach to the evaluation of a participatory approach, what are the steps that each of the stakeholders should take, or reflection that should make in this sense. So we have the preparatory action that are a little bit the previous step before engaging in this process, and the actual implementation. And for both of these, we thought about enabling conditions which are more maybe conceptual reflection that we can ask ourselves before starting this process, and guidelines that again are not supposed to be something really like you have to do like this to engage in a participatory approach, but more like reflection that can be useful to better address this process. And everything, again, with tips and tricks. Tips are questions that you can ask yourself at each step of this process, and tricks are, for example, game dynamics or exercises that can help to develop this kind of process. So that's it, right? I don't think that's...
And this is the full group.
Yeah, I would like to thank all our community manager. Without you, this wouldn't be possible. So really, thank you all. Thank you to all the partners. And thank you to the translator over there, sorry. But I think that also your work should be acknowledged. And I don't know if you have any question related to the book. Of course, 20 minutes for 200 pages is... Oh, yes, we have it now. It's available, of course. So if you go to the page, the web page of Be SpectACTive, in the part of publications, you may download for free the publication. So you're welcome to download it and read it.
Yes, because the idea was to have two different versions, one printed one, so and you can use as a guide, but you can even just use the... You can just go on the website and have a PDF version, so use this on the PDF. No, it's already
in the web.
It's already in the web.
I downloaded it from the website before.
Yes. We put this online this morning. Yep.
And yes, we will have also one printed copy for organization. We couldn't bring more than this, so we will, the one who are, that did not receive the copy yet, we will give you now. Be SpectACTive and...
Stronger peripheries, yes.
If there are no questions, we could also close the session and would be on time.
No.
If there is a question, now is the time. Yes? No, we need to use, because of the translation, we need to use it.
Just a reflection I want to share. But I work in theater, I have diaphragm. Sorry. Just a reflection that is from experience in Sardinia. Is concerning the question is about the community manager. Because we have a lot of small villages, really small, under 1,000 inhabitants. And the experience is that there already is a community manager, and he's the mayor of the village. So I would like to share this.
So we can give a copy even to each major of village in Sardinia. Good.
Good to know.
Any other questions or notes? Yes, a moment.
First of all, I want to really thank you, Giada and Luisella, for your presentation and for this beautiful work. But more than a question to you, it's a question to one of the community managers that is here, and I see also one of them on the top of the stairs, to see and to have their reactions to this presentation. That will be really, really nice. I look at Eva, but I don't know if I will have a reaction. So that was just a provocation. Or Ricard, that is also there. So because it would be nice to see also, your feeling after all this journey and seeing also this book dedicated to you in a way.
We are not pushing. No pressure.
Not at all. No, it's actually kind of moving seeing this picture. This is from our first meeting in Barcelona. And just seeing how we who knew nothing about each other's communities learned about each other's communities and the differences and the parts of it that is very much alike and so very different. So for me, this journey has opened up many doors in my town where I live. And the audience group that I engaged at my theater really changed my way of perceiving how to program for a broader audience than just myself, and how they continuously made me feel shocked about what decisions they made and curious about what we did. And I think going forward that we have to implement a way of working participatory to survive as as people, not mainly as institutions or theaters, but we need to speak. It needs to be a conversation. And I think this project really helped me professionally to see that even wider. So I would also like to thank you all for the opportunity to be a part of this and to keep on working with it. That's my spontaneous reaction.
So maybe it's time to coffee break
Yes.
or to go to the next session.
20 minutos de intervalo.
If there is, there are no questions.
Sorry, just to remember you that the ones that had not constituted the community and participate in our participative process, that you can still do it